Hello and welcome to Books to Board. Tonight we're going to look at the rather excellent Star Trek Adventures and specifically at how to generate characters. So let's have a look. Now the first thing to say is that in this game character generation is incredibly good. It feels like Star Trek and that's what I really like about it. It just feels Trekky. So the first thing you need to do is know what era you're working in, and then work from there. So you've got life path generation rules, which are pretty good, or an overview, which is pretty good. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see very much of this, but we'll try to get it so you can. And basically what it does is it gives you some guidance. So the era we're going to go for is the original series. That limits some of our options in terms of what species are available, but we can get a trill, and that's the way I'd like to go to start with. So I'm going to go with a trill. So the first step you've got is you pick out your species. So I'm going to write that down, trill. And along with that there'll come species trait, which will be the trill trait, and that just tells whoever's playing, to look at that page and see what the traits are. If I can find it. Denobulums. Always good at the denobulums. Here we go. So they're resilient parasites, but they can be allergic to bites basically. And they're going to look at +1 to 1 of 3 attributes and access to talents of that species, and they get 1 talent in effect. So for the trills, I'm going to have, you've got a choice. Let's do the attributes first. +1 to control. I'm going to tally mark these because it makes it a wee bit easier. Presence and reason. And the trait we've talked about, talents, you can have been a former initiate, somebody who hasn't been joined, or somebody who has. If you're doing a trill, to me, you kind of want them to be joined. So I'm going to go joined. And if you are joined, once permission, you may declare the former host of expertise in a relevant skill or field of study. You gain a single focus for the remainder of the scene as you draw on those memories. Additionally, you gain trait, a trait with the name of the symbiont. This reflects potential advantages of the joining. So I'm going to put a little line and I'll work out a name later. But that'll be quite nice and quite useful, and I think, yeah, we'll come back to that. So the next step is then to choose their environment, and I have thought about this. There's a number of environments that are available to you. Pop that pen lid there. So the environments that are available are a homeworld, busy colony, frontier colony, isolated colony, starship or star base, and space, and another species homeworld. And I quite like the idea of this trill being on another species homeworld. So I'm going to say another species. And it's going to be Andorra. I don't know if it's Andorra or Andoria, but I'm going to say they brought up the Andorian homeworld, whatever one that is. So that's going to be quite. So that's quite good because they're quite aggressive. The trill always strikes me as being a bit softly. And that might be because of Jadzia Dax and the way that she is in Deep Space Nine. But I quite like the idea of this trill being in Andor. Now what that means is, as well, I get a value. So the value they're going to get reflects the environment and culture. It's a good opportunity to consider how, right, so they're going to have this value of learning from others. So being brought up in a very different environment, they are going to learn from others really well. They're going to observe very well. Attribute, choose one, or this is quite good, so I can increase one of my attributes. I'm going to increase daring. Oh, it's got to be one of the attributes that the species has got. So I need to go to the Andorians and look at what they've got. They've got daring, control and presence. I'm going to give them a daring, because I think daring's important for this character, the way I can see them going. And that's one of the things to mention. It's a good idea to have in your head where you would like it to go, what you would like that character to be, and what's the story behind this. So I'm going to say that while they were on Andor, they got involved in a lot of the very physical culture, and they get very into it. So they get a discipline. I'm going to give them a security as well. So they kind of lost their way maybe a little bit and were in trouble quite a lot. Their upbringing, you've got several choices. You get check the camera here, saying you've got a few choices as well. You get 6 potential choices. You have got Starfleet, business or trade, agriculture, rural, science and technology, artistic and creative, and diplomacy. Now if I want them to be brought up in Andoria, I want a reason for that. So I'm going to give them, now at this stage, let's just double check. Step 2, have they got everything that they needed? Yep, they've got a value. Step 3, you get +2 to 1 attribute. That's fine. So I'm going to have them, let's see, I think they're going to be diplomacy. They've got to have a reason for being there. So their parents were diplomats in Andoria, and you get a choice at this stage. Do they accept it, or do they later on? Sorry, do they accept or reject? I believe, yeah, rebel or accept their upbringing. I want this character to rebel against it. So the upbringing is going to be diplomat, and basically they are going to go native. So they're going to have fitness 1 and reason 2. That's not bad actually. So that fits so far. So their reason's getting high here, which is nice. Disciplines and focus, familiarity with the practices, allow them to increase any one of the following: command, con or security. I'm going to increase their security again, because I think, I like this idea of this kind of rebellious young trill running around. Now, the focus should relate to their the character's preferred way of applying their skills. I think they're going to be quite debating. They're going to be a debater. So they will know how to argue. So they spent a lot of time arguing with their parents, and their parents were diplomats, so they knew how to do that. And then I get a single talent from the list of 135, and it's the generic ones at this point. So I think they're going to be hard to convince. I'm going to go dauntless, which just basically means that if somebody's trying to intimidate them, they're going to struggle. So they're going to get an extra D20 if somebody's trying to intimidate or threaten them. They're not easily threatened. So this is forming up quite nicely actually. So let's just check. Got the bits we need. Oh, +2 to 1 at. Yeah, we've done that. So number 4, going to Starfleet. So far what we've got story-wise is a rebellious young trill who's brought back diplomats on Andoria, and rebelled, and somehow or other managed to get into got joined somehow or other, managed to maybe straighten themselves out a bit, and ended up being joined with the symbiont. So they go to Starfleet, and while they're at Starfleet, they are going to pick the medical track, which is part of science. So they're going to go sciences, which I'm going to put up here. Purely because it gives them a wee bit more. I want a medic. I need a medic for the party that I've got. And the way it works is you now get 1 value, 3 point I always use this as a reference point because sometimes you can get lost in these bits a little bit. They're pretty clear. So they gain a single value which should reflect some aspects of their beliefs that developed during their time. I'm going to say the value that they would get would be compassion. So they learn how to care about other people. Having been this rebellious young man, this rebellious young man, I'm saying has, they learnt. So now they get 3 points for their attributes, which must be split between 2 or 3. So we can increase 3 by 1, or have a 2 and a 1. I'm going to go with daring. I want them to be a brave character. I want them to have insight. So that's something to develop at Starfleet, which they didn't have before. And I'm going to give them. So Starfleet, they really get flourish in that sort of bravery aspect. So they get very focused on that. So they're very daring and they've got a bit of insight. So the two things that stand out with them is they're very reasoned and daring. That's quite cool so far. Disciplines, they must select either science or medicine, and they increase that by 2. So their science is going to go up, medicine's going to go up by 2. And then they get another one. They get another 2 other disciplines for minors. So I'm going to go with actually science, and yeah, I'm going to increase their security. Yeah, let's increase their security. So they've got an increase in security now. So that's quite interesting. So at this point they're actually a better shot than they are a medic. And then focuses, they get 3 focuses that have to relate to different things. So I'm going to go with, in this case, emergency medicine. They're almost, I'm trying to build here a kind of almost field medic. And the reason why I went trill is it takes away that sort of 2-dimensional quality of them. I want them to be a bit more fleshed out, and I think that can add to it. I'm going to go with infectious diseases. And then let's see what we can go with next. Trauma surgery. Yeah, that makes sense. So they're kind of focusing. Although looking at this guy, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So they've got now talent. They also get single talent from 135. Bizarrely, they're not going to be able to have some of the nice ones for medics because they don't have 3 medicine. So I'm going to go with field medicine as a talent. So they're pretty good if they don't have the right equipment. I'm liking this character already. I'm starting to really kind of get drawn into them. So, I think next step, let's just double check we've done all the bits that are there. So we've got value. Yep, that they learned at Starfleet. We've done 3 points, we've done disciplines, we've done focuses, and we've done a talent. So now we're on to step 5, which is how long they have been in the career. So they're going to get a value and a talent out of that, and I'm going to just have them as a standard experienced officer. So they're an experienced officer, and they're going to have a value which can be chosen freely and a talent which can be chosen freely. So their talent in this context, we'll go with first, is going to be I want to give them something decent here. Now, I suppose what we could do, does it say it can be chosen freely? Yeah, chosen freely. So let's go for a security one then, because I can. I'm going to go with interrogation. Or will I? Let's go quick to action, because that would fit their character better. So quick to action. So they've got that sort of boldness about them. So their value, I'm getting a wee bit stuck here. Let's look at some examples. Always prepared, always vigilant. I'm liking that. So yeah, that makes sense. Always prepared, always vigilant. I'm liking that. And now what we're going to do is we are going to hit what I find quite an interesting phase in this. So we've got an experienced character, an experienced officer in Starfleet. We're going to go to step 6. And they're going to get 2 attributes, 2 disciplines and 2 focuses, which could be interesting. So let's have a look. So that what happens is what experiences they have. Now, I've got a very clear picture in my mind of this guy. So they're going to go through the ship destroyed rule. So ship destroyed, and that will in turn give them an attribute. Daring goes up by 1, so up to 4, and their security goes up by 1. So up to 4 with security. So actually they're a pretty darn good shot. The focus, I'm going to give them a survival. And what I'm going to say is that they were in their ship was destroyed, and they were stranded on a small moon for a protracted period of time. And during that period of time, a number of things will happen to them. So at this point, I kind of want to look at the next bit and just see where it goes. So I'm tempted to say that actually what happened was that they I think what would be really nice is if they actually then had the death of a friend. So during that period of time, so there was a war. So some routine went wrong. I think would be quite good. So the ship was destroyed by warp core breach. There's a warp core breach. There was an issue, and exploded, and they were evacuated down to the nearest place. And actually, what would be really nice is to maybe give them a little bit more flavour. So let's say the ship was attacked by was dealing with pirates, but they got a lucky shot, and yeah, that makes sense. So they got a lucky shot. The thing basically ended up having to be abandoned ship, and they ended up on the moon. During which time their best friend was killed in action, and that's the second one. So death of a friend is the second bit. And actually, you could do something like the Romulans or the Bastards. You could make it into somebody interesting, or something more interesting. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. But the attribute, they get an increase in their insight, and they get an increase in their medicine, because it would be nice if my medic actually had some medical skill. So they've got medicine's gone up, and then they get focus, which in their case is going to be hand phaser. And the reason they're going to get a hand phaser is because their friend was shot, and they were, you know, they had a rough upbringing and all that, but they basically had turned away from the phasers up to that point. They turned away from that. They weren't very good with their weaponry. They focused purely on medicine as much as they could. They'd done a little bit of security. As one of their disciplines, but they did at Starfleet, but they lost the way a little bit, and then they come back to it. I think it's probably a good way to go. I just want to check something out here a second, if I can. And that was at Starfleet. How many? Yeah, it's fine. So now what we've got is we're starting to get this fleshing out of the person. So the finishing touches is where we're at last. And I'm hoping this will work. I'm hoping we've got enough time to do this bit. So finishing touches is quite nice, because this is something I really like. So they get one final value, and I'm going to give them the value never give up, because that fits this idea that they were eventually rescued. Attributes, they may not have any attributes above 12, so it's 7, so that's fine. And then they can add one to two other attributes. So I'm going to give their insight, having been through this traumatic experience, they are going to be so much more focused, or so much more insightful to other people, and also they've developed a bit of presence, they've developed a depth of character in them. Disciplines. Nothing will be above 5, and I can increase 2 disciplines by 1 each. So I'm going to increase their medicine by 1, because they need to be good at medicine. That's kind of what they're for. I'm going to increase their con by 1, because the ability to fly would be quite useful. Okay, and then final details, final check. So 7 plus all these, so 8, 16. Actually, the easiest way is 42 plus whatever this is. So 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 56, which is meant to add up to 4 values, which they've got, 4 talents, which they've got, and 6 focuses, which they've got. Brilliant. A character has stress equal to their fitness attribute plus their security discipline. So their stress is going to be 8 plus 4, so it's going to be 12. So it's going to be 2 there, which is good. And the damage bonus is their security discipline. Let's see where that is. I can't see that anyway. Personal details, so we're going to look at their name, department, which is going to be medicine, and equipment is standard. Now the rank we'll talk about in a minute. So they are Trill. So what I really like is the way you get your names here. So the Trill is going to be a male, and personal name and symbiont name. So I'm going to go with personal name of Timor. I think it'll be quite cool. And then they get their Timor Ral. They get the symbiont name. And I need to work out their rank. Personality, let's find rank and role. And it's going to be Chief Medical Officer. So Chief Medical Officer, I'm just going to put it up here as Chief Medical Officer. a rip-roaring medical officer, if I may say so, and the rank will then be something like LT, Lieutenant Commander in effect. So that's pretty much it, and then equipment's the standard stuff. So this is Timor Ral. Timor Ral's Trill. He's brought up on Andoria. He is a he rebelled against the diplomatic upbringing that his parents had, and went through quite a rough period where he lost his way a bit. Was involved in lots of fist fights and stuff like that, which meant that he actually developed quite a daring side to his personality and quite a good ability to fight. He's got some core values he learnt from others while he was in Andorra. He learnt their ways, but whenever he went to Starfleet, he developed. Much to his surprise, he realised that actually he needed to straighten. Before he went to Starfleet, he straightened himself out, and he caught a grip on what was going on. Sort of started to develop a bit of compassion. Became joined. Partly that's a good bit. I could do that. Partly the impact of Ral on his personality calmed him down a little bit, give him a bit more stability. He's always prepared, always vigilant, and he never gives up. Talents wise, he's joined, he's dauntless, he's got field medicine and quick to action. In terms of his focus, he's a good arguer. He's got emergency medicine, infectious diseases, trauma surgery, survival, and hand phaser. And the reason for those survival and hand phaser is early in his career he was involved in a ship being destroyed, and they were banned. They found themselves stranded on a small moon, having to survive. And one of his best friends died and he wasn't able to shoot straight. As a result, he spent years focusing on how to use a phaser correctly, and that's who he's become. So that is Timor Ral, and that is roughly speaking how you develop a character. The big tips I would give is have a rough idea of what kind of character you want to develop, and it's a story based system, so it's really nice. I really enjoy it, and it's just one of my favourite bits of the game, is this development of characters. I find it fascinating, and just seeing where they emerge and what they end up like. It's great fun. Thank you for watching, have a great evening, and enjoy.